right. Let's get it 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 right. You already know what it is, man. It's your boy Deala T. And this is No Filters. Always appreciate you hitting that like button for me. Subscribing to the channel so you don't miss an episode, and sharing this with the world. And of course, family, when you come in, get comfortable. Get you something to eat. Get you something to drink. Get you something to smoke if that's what you do. Cause you see the title, fam. Yeah, we gonna get to it. Yeah, we gonna get to the ending of it. We gonna get to the ending of it. Let's get into this here.
For the first entire case, we have a witness account, her name or a family member's memory. We have GPS data, an actual time-stamped record of exactly where a boat went minute by minute on the day Nolan Wells disappeared. At the same time, his parents sat down directly with the Jackson County District Attorney and announced they're now running their own private investigation alongside the official. Two very different kinds of update arriving in the state. One is hard, forensic, and specific. The other is about process, pressure, and a family refusing to wait quietly for answers. We're going to walk through both and then talk honestly about what the GPS data actually changes here. For weeks now, this case has been shaped almost entirely by what people remember, what people believe they heard, and what people are willing to say publicly. Judges have made statements, friends have given interviews, attorneys have made claims, some of which have since been walked back. Every single one of those accounts has depended at some level on human memory and human honesty, both of which are genuinely fallible, even among people with nothing to hide. GPS data doesn't have that problem. It's the first piece of this case that exists independently of anyone's willingness to truth. CBS News obtained GPS data from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, tracking the exact movements of the boat that carried Nolan to Horn Island on July 4th. According to that data, the boat left its dock at approximately 9:56 that morning. It arrived at Horn Island at 11:14. CBS News has previously reported, separately, that Nolan was not on the boat when it eventually departed the island that afternoon. That's the baseline, a normal, unremarkable start to what should have been an ordinary holiday outing. According to the GPS data, the boat left Horn Island at 4:31 that afternoon and returned to its original departure dock. That timestamp is worth pausing on because it lines up closely with what's already been publicly stated. Judge Ashley Cole, in her own account of that day, said the group left the island around 4:30 due to the boat taking on water and an issue with the bilge pump. The GPS data now gives that claim something it didn't have before, an independent technical timestamp that roughly met the account given by one of the families involved. That's meaningful corroboration on this one specific point. It doesn't resolve the larger dispute about why Nolan wasn't on that boat when it left, but it does confirm the boat itself actually did leave around the time it was said to have left. It's worth being careful about how much weight to put on this kind of corroboration, though. Confirming that a boat departed at a certain time doesn't confirm every other detail in the account attached to that timestamp. Judge Cole's statement bundled several claims together: the departure time, the reason for leaving, the bilge pump issue, and Nolan's stated decision to stay behind. The GPS data only speaks to one of those, the timing of the boat's movement. It says nothing about whether the bilge pump genuinely malfunctioned or about what was actually said between Nolan and the friends who left without him. A partially corroborated account isn't the same as a fully corroborated one, and it's worth keeping that distinction clear as this case continues to develop. Here's where the GPS data gets genuinely interesting, and where it introduces a detail that hasn't appeared in any account we've covered so far. After returning to the original dock, the boat didn't simply stay there for the night. According to the data, it left again, traveling into Fort Bayou at 5:52 that evening. It returned to the dock at 6:06. Then, later that same evening, 19, the boat went to the Fort Bayou boat launch. From there, it appears to have been towed overland, presumably by a vehicle, to the residence of the boat's owners in Biloxi. Sit with that sequence for a second. The boat arrives back at its home dock around 4:30 in the afternoon. Then, roughly 90 minutes later, it goes back out for a 14-minute round trip into Fort Bayou. Then, about an hour after that, it makes a third movement to a boat launch before finally being trailered home for the night. Nobody, in any interview, any press conference, any witness account we've reviewed so far has mentioned this second trip. Not Judge Cole's statement, not Elmore's account of retreats, not Javon Williams, not Trace Eston Shepard. This is a documented, time-stamped movement of the boat that, as of this reporting, has no public explanation attached to it at all. There are, of course, entirely innocent explanations available. Boats sometimes need fuel, equipment gets forgotten and has to be retrieved. A bilge pump issue, if genuinely serious, might have required a short trip to check on repairs or to move the vessel somewhere it could be more easily worked on before being trailered home for the night. Fort Bayou itself is a real, navigable waterway in the area, not some remote or unusual destination, so a short trip there isn't inherently suspicious on its face. But innocent explanations aren't the same as confirmed ones. And in a case already defined by unexplained gaps, a missing phone, deleted messages, a 13-hour delay before a formal search began, a fresh, unaddressed gap in the boat's own movements is exactly the kind of detail that deserves a direct, on-the-record explanation from whoever was actually aboard during those trips. Was it the boat's owner alone? Was anyone else present? Did it have anything to do with Nolan at all? Or was it a completely separate errand that simply happened to occur on the same evening he was still missing? Right now, nobody outside a small circle of people actually knows, and the public record doesn't offer an answer. The Marine Resources Report identifies specific people connected to the investigation at this early stage. It states that the boat's owner, his mother, and one other individual reportedly with Nolan on the day of the incident have all cooperated with the investigation. This is worth noting carefully. It's the first official document, rather than a secondhand claim from an attorney or a leaked private message, to directly confirm that an adult, specifically the boat's owner, is connected to this case in some formal capacity. That lines up, at least partially, with Elmore's earlier public claim that an adult was present on the boat that day, a claim we previously noted hadn't been independently confirmed. This report doesn't fully confirm Elmore's specific account either, but it does establish that an adult's involvement is now part of the official record, not just a family member's assertion. The mention of the boat owner's mother cooperating is also worth sitting with. It suggests the investigation, even in this early marine resources phase, was already reaching beyond just the young people directly involved that day into the surrounding adult family members connected to the boat itself. That's a broader circle of cooperation than most public accounts of this case have described up to this point, and it raises its own natural question. What did the boat owner's mother know or need to explain that made her part of this early cooperation as well? Up to this point, almost everything driving this case has been testimonial. Somebody said this, somebody else said that, a witness recalled hearing an argument, a family member remembers a conversation a certain way. GPS data is different in kind, not just in degree. It doesn't rely on anyone's memory, anyone's honesty, or anyone's willingness to come forward. It's a mechanical record, generated automatically, independent of what anyone later chooses to say about that day. That doesn't make it perfect evidence. GPS data tells you where a vessel was, not who was on it, what was happening on board, or why any particular trip occurred. But it does something crucial that testimony alone can't. It gives investigators, and now the public, a fixed, objective skeleton, a real timeline that every witness account can now be measured against. If somebody's story doesn't match what the GPS data shows, that's no longer a matter of one person's word against another's. It's a documented fact sitting there that any account either fits or doesn't. This is actually how a lot of complex investigations eventually get resolved, not through a single dramatic confession or a single decisive piece of evidence, but through the slow, careful process of cross-referencing testimony against hard data, one detail at a time. Every witness account in this case can now be checked against this timeline. Does what Javon Williams described line up with when the boat actually departed? Does the account of the Keys episode fit within the window after the boat returned to its dock at 4:31? Does anyone's story explain or even acknowledge that second trip to Fort Bayou? Those questions weren't answerable before this data existed. Now they are, at least in principle. And that changes the nature of the investigation itself from one built entirely on competing memories to one that finally has an objective reference point everything else has to account for. It's important to be honest about the limits of this information too. The GPS data confirms movement. It doesn't confirm intent, conversation, or condition. We don't know from this data alone who was actually on the boat during that mysterious second trip to Fort Bayou. We don't know why it happened. We don't know whether it has anything at all to do with Nolan or whether it's a completely unrelated errand that simply happened to occur that same evening. We also don't know, from this report alone, whether investigators have already resolved this question privately and simply haven't shared that explanation publicly yet. The Marine Resources report notably ends on July 5th at the point where Jackson County Sheriff's Office formally took over as lead investigative agency. Whatever happened after that handoff, in terms of follow-up questions about this specific trip, isn't captured in the document CBS News obtained. There's also a broader limitation worth naming. GPS tracking on a recreational vessel typically records the boat's location, not the identities of everyone aboard at any given moment. Unless someone specifically documented who was on the boat during each of these individual trips, the data alone can't tell us whether the same people were present for the entire day or whether passengers came and went between different legs of the boat's journey. That's a meaningful gap, and it means the GPS data, valuable as it is, still needs to be paired with actual witness testimony to become a complete picture, rather than replacing that testimony entirely. Now, to the second major thread this week. For the first time since Nolan's body was recovered, Christine and Elmore sat down directly with Jackson County District Attorney Angel Myers McIlrath and members of the team. Ben Crump, alongside attorneys Lisa Park, Eric Hers, Justin Preston, and Cliff Jones, described the meeting as respectful. The central piece of news to come out of it was this. McIlrath told the family that once the Sheriff's Department finishes its investigation, this case will be turned over to a grand jury. It's worth being precise about what that means. A grand jury referral is standard procedure in Jackson County for unnatural or suspicious deaths. It isn't by itself confirmation that criminal charges are coming. McIlrath has said as much herself, telling NBC News directly that authorities haven't indicated this is being treated as a criminal investigation at this stage. We don't want to rush to judgment or speculate, she said, while also stressing that the case is a priority for her office. Crump is meeting its candid on both sides. He said he stressed to McIlrath strenuously that he wants her office and the Sheriff's Department to investigate the matter zealously. He also said Christine and Elmore shared their own lived experience directly with the DA, specifically around how, in their view, people in the South are sometimes investigated differently depending on who they are. He was careful to frame this as an attempt at mutual understanding, something both sides agreed to keep working toward, rather than a demand that the DA simply wholesale. Alongside the official process, family has got a substantial independent investigation of their own. Attorney Hers is leading that effort. It includes former law enforcement and federal agents. Hers said that the calls have been planned somewhere between and 100 a day from people who were on Horn Island themselves or who know people who were there. He made a point worth remembering. Some people calling his team, he said, are not into local law enforcement at all. His team's goal is to get those callers to cooperate with investigators rather than simply funneling information to the family's side alone. The broader aim, he said, is correcting what else narrative has taken hold. Using real information from real witnesses, this dual-track approach, an official sheriff's investigation running alongside a well-resourced private one, is unusual, though not unprecedented in high-profile cases represented by attorneys with Crump's reach and history. The value of it, in theory, is redundancy. If a witness is uncomfortable speaking directly to local law enforcement, for whatever reason, having a separate credentialed channel available increases the odds that information actually gets captured somewhere, rather than being lost entirely. The risk, as Crump himself has acknowledged, is that two separate investigative tracks can end up with two separate, occasionally conflicting sets of information, requiring careful reconciliation before any of it becomes useful in a courtroom or in front of a grand jury. One of the most concrete outcomes of the DA meeting involves Nolan's phone specifically. Both sides agreed to a mutual inspection. The family's own experts and the DA's team will examine the device together at the same time, so that everyone sees exactly what's actually on it simultaneously, rather than through separate, potentially conflicting examinations. Hers is helping lead that download process, working alongside former law enforcement experts brought in specifically for this task. This directly addresses a concern flagged earlier in this case, that the phone hadn't yet formally reached investigators, with the family's team conducting its own separate look at it first. A joint, simultaneous inspection closes that gap. It's worth explaining why this particular arrangement matters so much. Practically speaking, in cases where a piece of digital evidence has already been examined separately by two different parties before either side agrees on shared access, disputes tend to follow almost automatically over chain of custody, over whether anything was altered during the earlier examination, over which side's forensic findings should actually be trusted. A joint, simultaneous inspection sidesteps nearly all of that. Both sides see the exact same data, extracted the exact same way, at the exact same time, with no opportunity for either party to later claim the other's process was compromised or incomplete. For a case that has already generated this much dispute over a single piece of evidence, that kind of procedural clarity is genuinely valuable, regardless of what the phone's contents ultimately turn out to reveal. This moment from the press conference deserves real attention. A reporter asked Crump directly about his earlier statement that Nolan could be heard on the viral video saying, "Give me my freaking phone, what are you freaking doing?" His answer this time was noticeably more careful. He said that's what a witness told his team, and that's what they reported publicly at the time. Since then, another witness has come forward saying that was not Nolan's voice. Crump said his team now has audio experts working to determine definitively whose voice is actually on the recording. As of this press conference, that remains unresolved. He said going forward, his team will be more careful to specify that a claim comes from what a witness to them, rather than presenting it as firm. That lines with what Tristan Shepard has separately and publicly said, that the recording is actually his own. This walkback deserves real attention, given how central that claim was, the emotional weight of this case for several weeks straight. It was repeated at press conferences, cited by commentators, and treated by a large portion of the public settled. Hearing Crump himself now describe it as unresolved, contradicted by a named witness, doesn't mean nothing happened on that video. But it does mean the specific claim that anchored so much public suspicion the way it was originally presented, and that's a correction worth carrying forward into how the rest of this case gets discussed.
Hit that like button, double tap that screen. You in here with your boy Deala T. And this is No Filters. Hit that like button, double tap that screen, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode, and share this with the world. And of course, family, when you come in, get comfortable. Get you something to eat, something to drink. Get you something to smoke if that's what you do. Because listen to me. Now, trip off this. We finna go down a couple situations. Because it's a couple updates. Shout out to Candy Girl Pink in the building. Shout out to ID Walking, whoever you is in the building. Shout out to everybody else in the building ain't said that. Become a member today. You get what I'm saying? Situation I'm trying to tell you about is what's really crazy about how things been going and how things are is the fact that they even let the GPS out now. So now what we're looking at is that the GPS is letting us know where these people boats went all that time. Okay? And because of that, we're going to get an update from the judge. What's her name? Ashley Cole. There has been a lot of public scrutiny coming her way. Ashley Cole, the judge, basically the stepmother of, I believe, Warren. Warren being the boy that had made the call to the Coast Guard, to the sheriff's office, he claimed, and to the mother when they said they finally just up and said Nolan was missing. So we're gonna hear from her. Or actually, we're gonna hear from the complaints. Then we're gonna hear from the governor. They got the governor of Mississippi speaking up and speaking out. Not necessarily that he said anything so interesting, but it's the fact that when the governor, listen, man, when people in high places got to start opening their mouth, you know something went wrong or something ain't right. You get what I'm saying? And we can't allow that. So we got to go all the way up. We got to go all the way up. The whole scale, the whole track record, whoever involved, whoever is, whoever. All right? So hit that like button, double tap that screen. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode. Share this with the world. And of course, fam, turn your notification bell on all. So that means when your boy Deala T go live, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m., that's for you to come in and get comfy. Because I'm finna be pulling right up on you. You feel me? Notification bell. Again, GPS records have been released. And I'm going to say this too before we get to that. The ignorance of these white people playing these games right now. The ignorance of Ashley Cole. The ignorance of them releasing some new audio, and it's like a 10-second snippet of audio, and it's only talking about them talking to some person that can fix a boat, that can help their boat because they boat broke down all of a sudden. But the problem is, why are you all releasing information like that now? When we release something about autopsy, now they talking about autopsy. When we release something about saying about him arguing and us overhearing him arguing, then you got somebody come out talking about that was them arguing and not Nolan. You get what I'm saying? It's like, this is how you know that these people, white people, feel privileged still, even in this case of knowing that they are in a situation that says they are suspects and suspicious. But this is how you know that they feel privileged, because they don't even feel like they have to come open their mouth and say something. They are being quiet, but yet you all are releasing statements like Ashley Cole releasing GPS information. You're not releasing no statements. You're not talking to nothing about nothing. You're not doing nothing. Ain't no sorries, ain't no nothing. It's just when information comes out, they release information. And that's a warrant. Because everything that's going to be said, it's like you all are going to try to challenge it. And that's not going to work. Because at the end of the day, that means that that's obstruction. You're holding back information that allows you to say that you're not guilty or you are guilty. But the fact is, it's information that goes with this case. And that's why I'm trying to tell you, fam, they feeling overly privileged. Because you are breaking the law by sitting there holding on to information of any sort when it comes to an investigation. So we're going to hear from all of that, fam. I urge you to hit that like button, double tap that screen, because we're doing this all day and night. You already know we read in between the lines after we read the headlines, because we know if it walk like a, talk like a, we know what it is, and that's a duck. And all of these ducks that's quacking about to get duck hunting. Let's go, fam.
Attorney Eric Hers raised something procedural but significant. Under Mississippi law, he said crime victims are entitled to receive an incident report within 72 hours. That window had already passed by the time of this meeting, and the family still hadn't received it. Part of the purpose of sitting down with the DA was to start actually obtaining that report, along with other basic information the family should already have had. When asked directly whether they'd received it by the end of the meeting, the answer was simply, not yet. Christine addressed the actual state of communication between her family and law enforcement, and it wasn't encouraging. She said the DA's office has decided to take over primary communication with the family going forward, in part because they have a dedicated victim advocate on staff. She appreciated the DA taking responsibility for that shift, but she was honest about how things had been. The last time anyone from the sheriff's department had actually communicated with her, she said, was the previous Tuesday. And even that was only a text message she herself had sent, simply asking for an update. More than a week into an active investigation into her own son's death, that was the extent of direct contact from the lead.
And see, this how you know that the sheriff office is involved with something, because they taking way too long to say something about anything. They not speaking about nothing. They get information. This how you know. They finding out that the truth is coming in. And they trying to sort through that. Because at the end of the day, somebody calling in talking about they seen anything that's suspicious or anything that don't go with the stories, they got to corroborate their story, or they got to try to figure out their story. You understand? So when I'm telling you, it's too many people calling in, too many people that was there, too many people can see or possibly know of. And that's the fact that she even got to ask them to even update her. It's letting you know something ain't right.
Investigating agency. Think about what that gap actually implies about this family's experience of the entire process. In a case that has drawn national civil rights figures, sitting members of Congress, celebrity funding, and sustained media coverage, the actual line of communication between the grieving parents and the agency responsible for finding out what happened to their son had, by Christine's own account, essentially gone quiet, aside from a single unanswered feeling text. Whatever the reasons behind that gap, it's easy to understand why the family felt the need to build their own separate channel of information gathering, entirely apart from waiting on updates that weren't reliably coming through official channels. Crump used part of this press conference to directly address the volume of misinformation surrounding this case. Asked about a viral pool party photo his team had shared online, he said reposting isn't the same as authenticating. His team labels reposts as reposts and shares content specifically to generate tips, not to assert facts. He acknowledged the sheriff's department is fielding hundreds of calls of its own, and said his hope is that when this case reaches a grand jury, every relevant witness and piece of evidence gets presented fairly. He also spoke with real visible frustration about the human cost of all this. Friends connected to this story have received death threats. AI-generated videos have targeted Christine directly, fabricated content attacking a mother who is simultaneously grieving her son and preparing to bury him. He called it, in his own words, god-awful, and said nobody's life should be threatened in the pursuit of truth. This tension between soliciting public tips and avoiding the amplification of harmful misinformation is genuinely difficult to navigate, and it's worth acknowledging that difficulty honestly, rather than pretending there's an easy answer. A legal team trying to solve a case this complicated legitimately needs public information, and casting a wide net for tips is a reasonable strategy for surfacing real witnesses who might otherwise stay silent. But that same wide net inevitably catches false claims, fabricated content, and secondhand rumors alongside anything genuinely, and sort the two apart in real time while under intense public scrutiny is exactly the kind of press legal team has been operating under since the moment this case went national. The same week brought details everyone had been waiting on with real dread: when and how this family will lay their son to rest. The service will be held Monday, July 20th at Center Point Church in Ocean Springs. Visitation runs from 9 to 11 that morning, with the funeral following. Christine was direct about the tone she wants. "We want to celebrate Nolan," she said. He would not want us to be sitting around crying and eating. A repast, framed as more of a celebration, is planned afterward at the Jackson County Fairgrounds. Media will be permitted to attend that portion as well. Nolan's football coaches, past and present, are specifically being included, along with former teammates from middle school, high school, and college. Christine closed with a personal request. If anyone plans to protest, including on the day of the funeral itself, she asked that it remain peaceful, saying Nolan was never that kind of person. There's something worth noting about how this family has chosen to handle the funeral itself. Opening it to media, inviting a broad circle of teammates spanning 3 different levels of football, and framing the entire event around celebration rather than sorrow. That's a deliberate choice, and it reflects the same underlying instinct that shaped this entire case from the beginning. Christine and Elmore have consistently chosen visibility over privacy, even when that visibility has cost them in the form of online harassment, fake videos, and constant public scrutiny of their son's final hours. Choosing to open even his funeral to that same public attention rather than retreating entirely at the one moment most families would want complete privacy says something about how deeply this family believes that staying visible is their best path toward real answers. Christine publicly thanked the people who've helped carry this family through the past 2 weeks. Tyler Perry is covering the cost of the funeral. Colin Kaepernick shouldered the expense of the independent autopsy. Reverend Al Sharpton has agreed to officiate the service. Perry has spoken about his own reasons, describing a nephew who died in a Louisiana prison under circumstances he still questions, and separately helping another mother, Marsha Williams, seek answers about her son Terrence in Florida. He called the agony of not having answers debilitating. That context reframes Perry's involvement as something more specific than a celebrity simply attaching his name to a high-profile cause. He's speaking from direct, personal familiarity with exactly the kind of prolonged uncertainty this family is living through, the grinding weight of not knowing, week after week, what actually happened to someone you loved. That's a different kind of support than a financial contribution alone represents. Christine also mentioned local officials checking in nearly every day, and asked that anyone unable to contribute financially to the family's GoFundMe simply keep them in prayer instead. She described being moved by stories shared by Nolan's former teachers and classmates, arriving steadily since his death, small reminders of a life that touched more people than she says she ever fully realized while he was still here. Separate from the legal developments, 2 of Nolan's football coaches shared their own memories, and the portrait that emerged matched everything his family has said publicly. Irvin Moore, wide receivers coach and general manager at Southwest Mississippi Community College, remembered Nolan's official recruiting visit last year and how he made sure his younger brother got to share fully in that moment, watching him try on the team uniform. Head coach Les George, 42, described Nolan simply. He was a genuine person, George said. The kind who wants to see the good in everyone and make other people feel accepted. George remembered Nolan getting no playing time in the team's season opener and still celebrating that win as enthusiastically as anyone on the roster. He said Nolan never seemed to have a bad day, regardless of what he was personally dealing with. Both coaches described meeting with Nolan regularly, not just as a player they coached, but as someone they developed a genuine relationship with over time. That detail matters, because it means the tribute they offered wasn't generic praise for a player they barely knew. It was a specific, consistent portrait built over real time spent together of a young man who apparently showed up the same way in every setting, whether he was starting, sitting on the bench, injured, or fully healthy. Every account we've heard from people who actually knew Nolan describes essentially the same person, someone whose character didn't shift depending on the circumstances or who happened to be watching. So, stepping back, what does this GPS data actually add to a case that's otherwise been built almost entirely on competing accounts and disputed memories? First, it gives investigators and the public a verified anchor point. The 4:31 departure time now has independent confirmation separate from any single witness's memory. That strengthens confidence in at least the broad outline of the timeline everyone's been working from.
Okay, because now we got facts. We got a fact that now whatever everybody was talking about, because think about it, every time you open up your phone, I know you see Nolan Wells. Famous, fam. Like, hey, what happened to this man? But it's like anytime you open up your phone, YouTube, whatever the case, it's Nolan Wells. So this takes away from anything anybody trying to make up. 4:30 departure time. Let's go.
And more importantly, it introduces a completely new, unexplained threat. That second trip out to Fort Bayou and back, followed by a third movement to a boat launch before the boat was finally trailered home, is not something any existing account has addressed. That's not a small detail. It's a documented, time-stamped gap in the story, and it's exactly the kind of lead that a careful investigation or a determined family's own private one would want to run down immediately.
So think about this. This is how you know another warrant. See, this is a warrant for somebody arrest for lying. Because the first stories that came out was basically he was on the boat with his friends. His friends say that he went with some girl. The girl said that he said he going back to the boat with his friends. All of a sudden, don't nobody know where the man come up at. But all of a sudden, his phone is with Wyatt. And now we got the GPS boat showing that thing took off from the island at 4:30, and they took a trip to a whole nother island. Ain't nobody bring that up. Ain't nobody say nothing about taking no trips, taking no detours. Ain't nobody say none of that. See what I'm saying? This is how you know when white people start feeling ignorant, or any type of people start feeling ignorant, because is you dumb to not think. Just like a plane. They got a GPS, fam, for where that plane been. Yeah, a boat. Yeah. See, that ain't no car. That ain't usual. You understand? See, a car gonna go where a car go. Ain't no GPS on no car, fam, unless you got that new shit. You get what I'm saying? You can't track no whip. But we're gonna track a boat. Why? Because it's on water. And water, you can just drown out of nowhere. It can sink. We're gonna track a plane. Why? Because we flying in air and you can just fall. What? Yeah. So we need to know where this is going, because even though this is an assured transportation, this is not wheels on land. This is water and this is air. So we have to GPS track this regardless if you got your GPS on or me. You understand? Let's keep going.
Who was on that boat during those trips?
Yep.
Why did it need to go out again, roughly 90 minutes after already returning from the island? Was it related to Nolan at all, or something entirely separate?
So hold on, y'all leave, and then y'all go back 90 minutes later. What's up with that? See, and this is why the cell phone matters, because what they deleted out the cell phone is definitely can account for some of this. You get what I'm saying, man? Yeah, because think about it. If anything was going on with his cell phone, meaning about where his cell phone was at the time of whatever was happening to him that was hurting him or anything, right? That's what's deleted. But my thing is, if he was riding with them and he was unalive, his cell phone either is going to track, either they can track where his cell phone was going or not. But my point is if the man was unalive, his phone was just sitting there. So his phone almost kind of don't matter if he been riding with them unalive in a boat, taking trips for them to figure out what they're going to do with this man's body or something. You see what I'm saying? So, or the only way his phone matter is if he had his phone and he's being beat up, or he's getting filmed, he's filming them taking these trips, them taking a trip. And that might have been his last trip. Think about it for a second. Nolan could have been Snapchatting them going back and forth or to an island and got footage of them wherever they was. And then all of a sudden a situation came up where he unalive. And that could possibly be in the phone of what those files that they deleted. Because now you're looking at how many trips they done took.
It formally connects an adult, the boat's owner, to this case's official record in a way that's independent of Elmore's earlier claim. Whether that adult was present for the events on the island itself, only became involved once the boat needed retrieving that evening, isn't clear yet. But it moves the question of adult involvement from speculation into documented fact. Fourth, and this is worth naming explicitly, this data changes the burden of explanation in a subtle but way. Before this report surfaced, any question about the boat's movements that evening could be answered or avoided purely through someone's word. Now, there's a specific time-stamped set of movements that whoever was involved will eventually need to account for, whether to investigators, to a grand jury, or simply to the public record. That's a meaningfully different position that existed even a few days ago, when almost every open question in this case could be met with a shrug or a claim of not remembering clearly.
Right.
Two is answer the central mystery. It doesn't tell us what happened to Nolan between 3 that and the moment he ended up in the water. It doesn't confirm or deny anything about the video, the deleted messages, or the disputed conversation. What it does is give this investigation its first genuinely hard, unimpeachable data point, something that isn't anyone's word against anyone else's, and a brand new thread that deserves real follow-up. Pulling everything from this update together, we now have a documented, time-stamped record of the boat's movements that day, confirming the broad outline of the departure timeline while introducing an unexplained second trip that nobody has publicly addressed. Have confirmation that the boat's owner, his mother, and one other individual connected to Nolan's day are cooperating with investigators. We have a formal legal process now moving toward a grand jury. A robust, independent investigation the family has built entirely on their own. We have a joint phone examination scheduled and a meaningful, on-record walkback of one of the case's most emotionally powerful claims, the video's audio. And we have a funeral, now scheduled for Monday, that this family has chosen to frame as a celebration, open to media, even as they continue fighting for the truth in every other part of their lives. Nolan Wells was 18, a football player his coaches describe as someone who made everyone around him feel accepted. A son whose parents are now doing something almost unimaginable, planning his funeral and pursuing...
All right, so shout out to True Crimes on that, letting us know and going down that road. Let's go down this road right now because this right here is very important. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode. Share this with the world. Now, listen to me. We about to cook Judge Ashley Cole. Because just so you know, if you don't know who this is, Judge Ashley Cole is the stepmother of one of the boys that was involved with Nolan's missing and unalived body. You understand? Let me say that again. Judge Ashley Cole is the stepmother of one of the boys that was involved with Nolan Wells' missing or unalived body. Okay? Now, when she found out, instead of her obeying the law, she chose to obey family rules and say, hey, blood in, blood out. Y'all can't get my son. So what she chose to do was first delete her Facebook message page. Okay? First thing she chose to do was delete the Facebook page. Now, she does that because she says she didn't want public scrutiny coming toward her other kids because she got other kids, right? But we all know why she did that, okay? So she deletes the Facebook page. Then she, from that point, starts to make comments being basically biased because she a judge. But she starts to make comments on behalf of her son, in defense of her son. So now she has totally removed herself from just from her representing the law as a judge, as an active judge, okay? So because of these things that she's doing, and the latest thing that she has done, when they just released this GPS file, she took it upon herself to release her own GPS file for where her son was that night. Now think about this for a second, fam. This woman chose to release her own GPS file of where her son was. So this is how you know that she truly feels she's above the law, because she's a judge. And she thinks she finna be a judge and be able to sit there and talk like a mom and represent her son, stepson, in this situation as she is, and still have full term power as a judge. No. So people is calling for her job tonight. People been calling for it, but it's really got serious. Because now people really about to start protesting that she resigns, recuse, refuse, whatever the word is, that she just no longer a judge, is what they are. Hit that like button, double tap that screen, let's go.
New tonight, we hear from the governor on the death investigation of Nolan Wells. Comes on the same day as parents and attorney met with leaders this morning. 16 WAPT's Carl here with the latest on the case to the promise.
That's right. Well, today the family attorney said once the investigation into Nolan Wells' death is complete, it will be turned over to the DA. Governor Tate Reeves also speaking out about the case nearly 2 weeks after the teen's disappearance and eventual death. Nolan Wells was last seen on July 4th after being out with friends. His body found 2 days later in the water at Horn Island. Family and friends have spoken out about the kind of person that Wells was and say they're still searching for answers. When asked about the tragic incident, here's what the governor had to say.
I don't know all of the facts surrounding the case. I have yet to see a fact or a piece of evidence that suggests foul. But if there is, I feel that the sheriff's, the district attorney's office, the members at the Department of Public Safety that deal with the if there had been one, we'll find it and they will do what is necessary.
A news conference with attorney Ben Crump, we learned that Wells' parents and attorneys met with the Jackson County DA. They said the case will be turned over to a grand jury. They also said they will do a joint search of Wells' phone, which was not with him at the time of his death. And Crump called the meeting with the DA respectful, but said questions still remain tonight.
There are significant new developments in the mysterious death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells that we want to talk about tonight. Now, what?
You guys, so Ticket TV, like, share, and subscribe as y'all tap on in. Appreciate all of you guys that are joining the stream. And today, man, we're gonna release some information because a formal complaint has been filed against Judge Ashley Cole, right? Now, let's get right into this and tell y'all what's going on, because she's facing intense public scrutiny and a formal ethical investigation, you guys, is what she's facing, right? So basically, I did a live video on the black judge from Mississippi, right? Carlos Moore, right? And how he was, barred from being a judge because of online statements he made, right? He made statements about the Kyle Rittenhouse situation past and a couple other situations, and he actually lost his judgeship in Mississippi and was barred for that. And
lost his judgeship.
With Judge Ashley Cole,
she about to lose it.
Making the statements that she made, which is basically, tragic.
About to get you a
death of Nolan Wells, man, and RIP to Nolan Wells, man, and condolences to his family and his loved ones. And I hope they get all events on Facebook to defend her son, Warren, right? One of the last people that was seen was Nolan on Horn Island. Now, public.
Now, this how you know, fam, that she know what's going on. This how you know she know what's going on. You heard me? Because she had to post something, so she know they all heard what's going on. Trust.
Right? The public has aggressively demanded her removal resignation, right? Disciplinary action remains pending right now, official review. But DL Hughley and these people are on her helmet, and a lot of other people are on her situation now. A formal judicial complaint has been filed against her with the Mississippi Commission on Judicial Performance. Now, the complaints allege that by posting an unverified timeline about an active death investigation, that she violated the Mississippi Code of Judicial Conduct and Article 6, Section 177A of the Mississippi Constitution. Now, legal experts note that a sitting judge commenting publicly on an active case could inadvertently influence or intimidate witnesses and severely harm public trust in the judiciary, right? Now, the commission must independently investigate these claims, and if they find wrongdoing, they can recommend disciplinary actions ranging from a public reprimand to removal from the bench, which must ultimately be finalized by the Mississippi Supreme Court. Now, basically, on July the 8th, 2026, Judge Ashley Cole posted on Facebook, right, to dispel some of the rumors with facts she quoted. She asserted that her son last saw Nolan at 3 p.m. on July the 4th, and that the Wells willingly stayed on the island, Nolan, while her son's group left due to the boat failure, right? Now, she initially deactivated the Facebook account, citing emotional online climate and severe security threats to her 6 children. Boy, she getting in. 6 children. God, dog. 6 children, right? Now, on July the 10th, Judge Ashley Cole issued a second statement sharing screenshots of online death threats and racial slurs targeted at her family. Now, she stated that her family would no longer speak to the press because the media is not the appropriate forum to elaborate on that investigation. Now, the Jackson County Sheriff Department and the National Park Service are continuing their investigation into Nolan's death, as well as the FBI stepped in now as well. But Judge Cole has stated that her family is willing to cooperate directly with the West family and with civil rights attorney Ben Crump, is what she's claiming, right? They want her helmet. They want her out of here, man. And
You got to go.
other people to get this woman up out of here. And they have filed complaints about her.
Because think about this for a second. Hit that like button, double tap the screen. Think about this. Think about this. Ain't none of y'all said nothing about, oh my God, Nolan gone. We sorry. We so sorry. We so hurt. We can't believe this. We want to find out what's going on. We want justice for him. We want to know. Nobody is saying that. Not even this stupid mother. She ain't even said it. All you heard is nothing being said, and then all you heard is defense. So that's how you know they did something. That's like being guilty, like you just being guilty. You just got that guilty conscience type of thing. That's what this is basically. Because you all ain't saying nothing about the other half of it, where this is your friend, you miss him, you looking for him still, you want justice for him, you all want to know what happened. All you know right now is that you all were being quiet, and then you all are releasing certain snippets of things for everything that the lawyer and Nolan's mom and them finds out. So every time they find out something, y'all release something. But nobody is saying nothing about we saw, we miss him, we looking for him, we want to know what happened as well. You see what I said? This is how they telling on themselves, because they not even saying stuff, regular stuff, if you didn't have nothing to do with it. Make it make sense. Let me say that again for the people in the back. You're not saying things that align with if you didn't have nothing to do with it. You are saying everything that aligns with you all had something to do with it, because you're not talking. So clearly you have a lawyer, okay? That's one. Two, everybody's talking for you. So clearly you're trying to calm down the narrative of what we all believe race has to do with this death, right? 4, stepmom judge is the only adult that's speaking about her child in this situation, and she's doing that without even caring that she's a judge. So that's how you know extra that her child is even more guilty, because she is going out of her way to press narratives that doesn't even matter. Because at the end of the day, you're about to lose your job for breaking the law. And then on top of that, your son is going to be held and locked up because of his activities with Nolan. Wyatt is going to end up getting locked up because of his possession of Nolan's phone. You understand? So at the end of the day, Warren, Wyatt, Evan, Andrew, the other guy, Morgan or something like that, these people are going to be held because, again, they all were involved directly with Nolan. They all were on that boat that took 10 trips in and out, back and forth. You understand what I'm saying? And in the midst of this, this woman don't even care that she's a judge. She automatically was like, hey, this is my son. I don't even care about the judge level no more. Okay, so think about that for a minute. If these people were innocent, why wouldn't they already be talking like that? If these people was innocent in anything, why wouldn't they be just pleading, speaking, and talking and be in the same hunt that we are in? Why would they be joining us in the hunt for Nolan case, for Nolan Wells situation? This is how you know their involvement. Because the fact that they so involved and did whatever they did, and they tried to cover it up so much, so bad, that they can't even come out and say nothing. Because anything they say can and will be used against you in the court of law. Jamaica in the building. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. This is getting real. And I want you to understand, for real, man, she needs to resign. She needs to not be a judge anymore. And she needs to be fined. And I'm feeling like she needs to be held for a couple months or something in the jail cell. Because ain't no way you a judge. You break the law, you should be getting chastised. We break the law, we normally getting what we get. But you a judge, that's like a police breaking the law. Oh, y'all should be getting 25 to life. You are the law. So I really feel like y'all break the law. It's different on how y'all should get disciplined because you are the law. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, you know the law, and you know how to dance around the law, and you know how to break the law by using the law. You should get the worst from anybody that get disciplined about breaking the law. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Let's hear some more about her having to resign.
For even making these statements online, man. So she has a lot coming at her about this situation. And so, wow, I mean, she was kind of young, got 60, like, God, dog, man, she popped them things out like, God, daggone. But anyways, get past that. Yeah, yeah, man, she might be facing some serious trouble off this situation.
She is, ain't no
views. But then again, some people, hey, man, they ain't finna punish her. They're not finna do her like they did Judge Carlos Moore. Judge Carlos Moore lost his seat. He lost in this period. He has in Mississippi, he has been, you know what I'm saying, banned from being a judge now. And so Carlos Moore, he's now been on social, he's been very, very vocal.
Carlos Moore, the judge that was an active judge for the Mississippi state, he don't have a seat no more because of the racist Mississippi law system. Racist, fully. Everything is one-sided. So he is now speaking out because he don't owe nobody nothing. So he just keeping it 100 and being real about the situation. Now, if she don't resign, or if she's not fired, people are not going to want her to rule their case. Okay? People are not going to want her to be the judge in their case. And that's another reason why there's going to always be confliction moving forward if she doesn't resign. Because at the end of the day, you can't be biased. I don't care who you know. You can't know the defendant, the client, and be active in the actual investigation and case. None of that is right at all. So I truly expect, and we got to pray, man, because things like this that we as men can't handle, God is truly in control. The Lord is truly in control. Because these type of situations, as we have grown to get older now, and look at slavery not as it was, but as how we see it today, we have to pray, man, that God keeps us, that the Lord truly will fight our battles, that the Lord will truly let no weapon formed against us prosper. You get what I'm saying? For real. We got to do that, because this is straight up and down not right. And if ain't nobody there to stand for us, who gonna stand for us? That's what I'm talking about, man. When judges come out like this and your people are in part about, your son is involved with a murder. You understand? Your son is involved with a murder. And you out here lollygagging, doing whatever you want, the way you want, and you a whole judge. And think it's okay? Your days are not going to be comfortable moving forward if you don't resign. Trust me, I know that. Because at the end of the day, people in Mississippi are black people, period. If they feel how they feel about this situation and how it's being handled, you can bet your life they will not be okay with this woman moving forward and trying to live her life normal as she has before this Nolan Wells case came up. She's not going to be comfy. People are going to be calling for her job every day. And people that have to be presented with this lady in court are not going to be wanting presented by her, because they're going to feel that she is totally biased. And knowing that, people are always going to have to submit for a new judge every time. And at that point, that girl ain't going to have no job. She ain't going to be judging and ruling nothing. Hit that like button, double tap that screen, man. We cooking in here. We cooking in here.
About this entire case, about the elements of this case, how everything has happened, how everything has gone down, but he's not a judge anymore, so he can publicly comment. He's not an active judge. He can, you know what I'm saying, he can actively, give comments on that. But when you're an active judge on the seat, you literally cannot comment on stuff like this. Now, again, a lot of people go in and, hey man, she said, look, I'm trying to defend my son. But
and you can't.
At the same time, man, if you gonna ban Judge, Carlos Moore, right? Who spoke up on the Kyle Rittenhouse situation and a couple other things he spoke about as well. And they tried to say he tried to do that with some clients of his law firm or whatever they were saying, right? And so, like I said before, man, at the end of the day, man, are they gonna keep the same energy? They might have to be forced to because of the pressure from the general public. So she may go out in shame if that's how it ends. But we will see. This is something I will be paying attention to, and I will be focused on to see what happens in her process. And actually what happens in the entire investigation, right?
Right.
And so she says that people have been racist towards her and coming for her. And they say they've been sharing information online that have been...
But think about it. Why wouldn't they be racist? Let me say that again. Why wouldn't they be racist towards her if your white son was involved with the killing or burning or torturing or beating up of Nolan Wells? Y'all ain't came out and said they ain't did nothing, ain't trying to support nothing and acting like that's your friend. You right, they are coming for you, ma'am. They are talking about you every day, ma'am. Yes, they feeling like this is big race war against you, lady. Yeah. Your son know what's going on with Nolan, and he lied to your face. And you sitting there gonna protect him, knowing he had something to do with that. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Boy, this ain't no joke.
And that have been racist, and so that's what she claims, right? And so, yeah, man, you guys definitely let me know what y'all think, man. Some of these people claim that they've been getting death threats too, as far as some of the people that were there, right? And that's why I always say, hey, man, just wait for the investigation to come out, man. You know what I'm saying? I know people are upset. You know, I'm upset. I wish we had answers, right? But I'm not gonna come on YouTube and blame somebody for murder and I don't have no evidence. You know what I'm saying? I have to have evidence first. And you know, Ben Crump, he's good at finding out if this is a murder or this is an accident of death or this is a whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, we'll find out because they already got their own individual autopsy going on to check it when they have.
Let me be clear, fam, because we ain't on here accusing nobody of murder. First off. We're not accusing nobody of murder. We saying allegedly these boys had something to do with this man being unalive. One way or another, they know or had something to do with. So you can take that to the bank. You understand? They either know or they had something to do with. It's too much motion. They got his belongings. They ain't saying nothing about nothing, but everybody was with that man that day or whenever it went down. So like I said, we're not coming on here accusing nobody of murdering that man and we don't know. But what we are saying over here at No Filters with Deala T is one of them boys got something to do with something. Or they know something. So we ain't got to sit on here and act like we're accusing people of murder. No, one of them knows something or they did something. Simple as that. Simple as that.
The results, Ben Crump will be the first one to release it. So trust me on that. It ain't gonna be the truth. And all these other people that's lying, it's gonna be Ben Crump. So trust Ben Crump. I've done work in other situations, and he's done a great job. So I don't see what do a great job. I think he's been doing a great job in this case. Just to tell to this case, seriousness he's brought to this, and the fact that he got the world pinned this case. There you have it right there. Y'all let me know what y'all think though, man. But hopefully the Nolan Wells family gets justice. Hopefully they stop getting slandered. Hopefully people stop getting upset and pocket watching them people, man. And you know what I'm saying, worry about whatever they got going on. Like, share, subscribe. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Hey, we always appreciate the support, and if you guys want to do so, you can use the Cash App or PayPal links. They'll be in the description box below this video or pinned at the top of the comments. The top donors will get announced every month. All right, you guys, hope y'all enjoyed the video. Like, share, and subscribe. Make sure y'all cop the merch, and make sure that you get the weight loss formula. The links to that will be in the description box below this video. Check out the next video coming up right now.
New tonight, we hear from the governor on the death investigation of Nolan Wells. Comes on the same day as parents and attorney met with leaders this morning. 16 WAPT's Carlos Garcia here with the latest on the case tonight. Carlos.
That's right. Well, today the family attorney said once the investigation into Nolan Wells' death is complete, it will be turned over to the DA. Governor Tate Reeves also speaking out about the case nearly 2 weeks after the teen's disappearance and eventual death. Nolan Wells was last seen on July 4th after being out with friends. His body found 2 days later in the water at Horn Island. Family and friends have spoken out about the kind of person that Wells was and say they're still searching for answers. When asked about the tragic incident, here's what the governor had to say.
I don't know all of the facts surrounding the case.
See, that's what I'm saying right there. See that energy right there? No, dirty. No, all that. I don't know. I don't know the facts of the case. But what we're gonna see that right there. Let you know. He let you know. Listen, man. I'm Mississippi. I'm Mississippi. Don't forget, I'm Mississippi. So let me start with. Hey, listen, y'all ninjas is amped. Calm down, dirty. I don't know the facts of the case. Okay. So I don't know nothing. Like, even though the sheriff acting like he knows something, the judge acting like she knows something, I'm the and they're talking to the DA now. I am the governor. I don't know nothing. Okay, so let's start with that. That boy had to clear his name off the rip. See, this is what I'm saying. He had to clear himself first. Let me clear my name first. Just so you know, I don't know nothing. Okay? Yeah, I don't know nothing. Okay, so whatever's going on, I don't know nothing. The fact that, man, look at this man's face, man. Look at his face.
Friends. His body found 2 days later in the water at Horn Island.
Look at his face.
Family and friends have spoken out about the kind of person that Wells was and say they're still searching for answers. When asked about the tragic incident, here's what the governor had to say.
Look at his face.
I don't know all of the facts surrounding the case. I have yet to see a fact or a piece of evidence.
See what I'm saying? See, he just said, I don't know all the facts surrounding the case. I've yet to see us fact ain't anything. I've yet, see what I'm saying, fam? That man probably knows something. Cause he's stating it off the rip, and then he repeating it, and then he reiterating. I don't know. He put it down, he retract, and then he reiterates, and then he restates what he's saying. Like, what? What you know, Dirty? Because you didn't put it out there too hard. See, black people, we too much. We read in between the lines. You doing a lot explaining about something you don't know, and it's your first time speaking about it, and you pressing that you don't know. Dirty, we don't expect you to know. You the governor. Duh. Hell, if we don't know and the sheriff's office don't know, I know you don't know. You the governor. But the way you acting, I want you to know I don't know anything, and I want you to know I haven't seen a single fact of anybody or anything, okay? So just letting you know the facts, just the facts, okay?
Later in the water at Horn Island. Family and friends have spoken out about the kind of person that Wells was and say they're still searching for answers. When asked about the tragic incident, here's what the governor had to say.
I don't know all of the facts surrounding the case. I've yet to see a fact or a piece of evidence that suggests any fact. But if there is, I feel confident
That boy said.
And say they're still searching.
Listen.
When asked about the tragic incident, here's what the governor had to say.
I don't know all of the facts surrounding the case. I've yet to see a fact or a piece of evidence that suggests any foul play. But if there is, I feel confident that the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, the members at the Department of Public Safety that deal with these crimes, if there had been one, they will find it and they will do what is necessary.
He don't want this. And see, that's how you know that when it come down to his people, that's how he can't be amped. He started off with the energy that he hadn't seen no facts or anything that says foul play. So he not saying that he don't know no evidence or seen anything. He's just saying he ain't seeing nothing or saying nothing or else anything that presented foul play. Okay? So you got to understand that. So that means he do know something. And he have heard about some things. But he's saying whatever he know about don't present foul play. Now, how does not Wyatt holding on to his phone, keys, car outside, nobody called their parents, everybody's having a party the next day, everybody comes home but him. They're talking about his body had to be identified by his dental record. Come on, fam. It's a lot of foul play. You couldn't even identify the man's body by looking at him. It's foul play. See, this is the white shit I be talking about. This is what I be talking about. This is what I be talking about. It's that naive shit I be talking about, man. It's that naive shit I be talking about. The man can't even ain't in there. What? Can't even identify if this Nolan, but ain't nothing foul about that. They done took 10 boat trips back and forth. Ain't nobody said nothing about that when the first story came out. It was nothing about 10 boat trips. So they hid the boat trips. They hid his phone, his keys. They hid it. How is there no foul play here? It's foul play just from the storytelling. The stories are foul. The stories are foul before the foul play. Oh my God.
With the family attorney, Ben Crump, we learned that Wells's parents and attorneys met with the Jackson County DA. They said the case will be turned over to a grand jury. They also said they will do a joint search of Wells's phone, which was not with him at the time of his death. And Crump called the meeting with the DA respectful, but said questions still remain tonight.
There are significant new developments in the mysterious death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells that we want to talk about tonight. Now, Wells disappeared after boating with friends on July 4th weekend. Days later, his body was found on the water near Horn Island off Mississippi's Gulf Coast. And while investigators have said that drowning appears to be the preliminary cause of death, even though the official findings from the autopsy haven't been released, his family has continued to raise questions, right? Why did he go off on his own? Why did he have a cell phone? How could no one help? How could no one notice? Well, today, the Jackson County District Attorney met face-to-face with Nolan's parents and their legal team for the first time. And after that, the family announced that once investigators complete their work, this case is going to be presented to a grand jury. Now, to be clear, that doesn't mean charges are coming, but it does seem to suggest that jurors are going to review the evidence to determine whether any criminal charges should be filed. The family says the DA also made clear that no decisions about possible charges are going to be made until the sheriff's investigation is complete. And there's also another major development, and this involves one of the most important pieces of evidence in this case, Nolan's cell phone. The phone was reportedly with Nolan's friends. The family says that they believe content may have been removed from the device before it was returned. Now the phone is going to apparently undergo a joint forensic examination with both law enforcement and the family's independent experts reviewing the device together. They hope it can provide critical answers about Nolan's final hours. I want to bring in Dante Mills, a national trial attorney at Mills Legal. Good to see you, sir. Significant that the family met with the DA, but potential grand jury, does that signify to you that there's criminal culpability here?
Now, what I like about this guy right here, I believe he's true crime, law and crime. I like how he continues to highlight the criminal in this situation, okay? He continues to highlight the suspects in this situation, and he continues to highlight the cell phone. He also continues to highlight the autopsy that's needed to come back to really generally say, hey, this is what really happened. Now, what we want to do is, and what we need to remind Ben Crump is to not release the autopsy before Mississippi releases theirs, okay? Because you have to understand what's going on here. They keep continuing to look at what's coming, look at the release, and then they do a counterattack, okay? And this is how you know they're extra privileged, because none of them feel guilty. None of them feel like they're doing bad stuff. None of them feel like they're breaking the law. None of them feel like it's obstruction. None of them feel like they are accessories to murder. None of them feel any of this, okay? So if I was Ben Crump, I would hold on to the autopsy until Mississippi releases theirs. Because there's no way I'm finna allow them to try to play that game as if both autopsies are the same. No way, no how. No way, no how. Okay? You have to understand when this first happened, they said this was an open and shut case. They didn't say no foul play. They just said it was open, it was shut, and it was over with. So that's how you know something and somebody been trying to hide the facts in this investigation. And also, whoever's been trying to hide it knows what happened to Nolan Wells. Okay? Think about it. Who said this is an open and shut case? Who said we're not going to keep investigating? Who's taking all day to even update? Who is not even updating the parents? And I feel that too, family. Hit that like button, double tap that screen, family. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode, and share this with the world. Now listen to me. I knew that at the end of the day, the cell phone is going to take them down. The autopsy is going to take them down. Because there is not a witness that's really going to say, hey, this is what happened. Because any witnesses that was really there whenever whatever happened, they are an accessory. They are conflicted by knowing that they were involved with something. And if they wasn't involved, they knew of it and never said nothing. You get what I'm saying? If they wasn't involved, hands-on, they knew what was going on and they never said nothing. They never spoke up, didn't do nothing. Okay? So, like I said, hit that like button, double tap that screen. We talking to a lawyer.
Yeah, listen, this is every parent's worst nightmare. You have your child goes out with friends and everybody comes back except your child. So I understand the position they're taking where they want answers. They want to know why this tragic situation happened, and they're willing to do anything to get those answers, and I think rightfully so. Any parent would feel the same way. But let's not jump to conclusions here. We also can't look at what the family is saying and kind of take that as law, because they're going to hear investigators talk the way they kind of want to ingest the information. So the investigators are saying, we're doing an investigation. We plan on moving forward. However, the evidence shows, the family can come out of that thinking, well, there has to be something there. So clearly they're going to the grand jury, but that's not the case.
And to be clear, it does not necessarily have to be, or would be a homicide charge. There could be other crimes associated with this investigation, even if somebody misled law enforcement, which I'm not saying happened, but you could present anything to a grand jury, right?
Absolutely, and we don't have to be talking about...
That's another reason why I like this guy right here, law and crime, this white guy. He said, yo, it could be other charges against these people too and everybody involved. Lying to the police, misleading the police. That's obstruction. You understand? You're obstructing justice. You're holding back justice. That's like the police come in and say, hey, where is your cousin? When the last time you seen your cousin? And you say, man, I ain't seen my cousin, I don't know, I ain't seen him, I don't know where he at, I ain't heard from him, none of that, right? And then they keep pressing you to a point to where, you know what, you like, all right, man, listen, man, I seen my cousin yesterday at the liquor store, man. He was getting some cigarettes and he was getting on the bus, man. That's all I know, that's all it is. They gonna say, hey, officer, lock him up. You understand? They gonna say, officer, lock his ass up. And they don't care if it's for a week, a day, a month, it don't matter. That's called obstruction. So that little dude, what's the little dude name? What's the little dude name that came out and said that Nolan Wells was not arguing? He said he was arguing. And then the mother said, we don't know no Tristan Spencer. I think that's his name, Spencer. Is that right, Candy Girl Pink? Tristan Spencer? Was that the last black dude that came out? He on a picture with Nolan or something with doing all this. But he had came out and said that this is like when they said that this audio of, you know, Nolan arguing, this black dude busts out like, nah, that's me arguing with this dude about my gal. But they saying that they heard the audio saying something about arguing about the phone. And he like, nah, that's me and dude arguing. But you can hear them arguing about a phone. So how could that be you and dude if y'all ain't even arguing about a phone? You talking about you arguing with your girlfriend and dude walked past and made fun of that, so now you and dude arguing. That's what I'm saying. We gotta write down all these people names, because anybody and everybody that came out thinking they was finna mislead the public, stupid ass, you misleading the police too. And that's obstruction. So we're gonna make sure that we write his name down too, because he intentionally chose to come out and lie. He's intentionally coming out trying to love them white boys instead of have love for his own black brother. And that really just disturbs me, fam, because I know he got a call to do that stupid shit. Because he lied talking about him and Nolan was childhood best friends. If y'all childhood best friends, His mama wouldn't know your dumb ass. And daddy probably. So you a lie from the pit of hell talking about this childhood friend, and that wasn't Nolan arguing, that was you and your girlfriend situation. Just lying. So his little stupid ass gonna get locked up too. Yeah, he gonna get locked up too. Yeah, he is. I pray he do. Cause your little dumb ass should have stayed at home and shut the hell up. And if you weren't gonna say something nice, then don't say nothing at all. Let's go.
Murder or homicide. This could be an accidental death where there was evidence tampering, right? Where they tampered with the evidence, maybe deleted something from the cell phone
They did.
that just seemed weird or odd or put somebody else in a bad light. So they did that so they wouldn't look bad, even though it had nothing to do with the death itself.
I gotta say, I'm a little confused by the cell phone. I've seen reports that the family hadn't initially handed over to law enforcement, and now it's gonna be this joint examination both by the family's experts and law enforcement staff and investigators. How does that work exactly? Have you ever heard of that before?
I have. I've actually done those forensic analysis of electronic devices where my expert has devices to get them from the investigators themselves. It's a little different than when you're talking about blood samples or something like that, when you're passing it and you don't want to do that because it could be, contaminated. With electronic evidence, those things are going to be consistent. It's going to show text message was sent, what was included in that text message. There's going to be timelines like that are really difficult to change and almost impossible to change. So I've had situations where I've done investigation at the same time as the federal or investigators trying to get that data off of phones, laptops, computers, other things like that. It's different than what you normally think of like passing around blood samples or bullet, fragments or something. Sure. Or fingerprints can be transferred or something like that.
Two things. One, there's also been a lot of talk about why he didn't have his phone, right? There's some of the water, not uncommon for him to leave his phone behind, but then if he had gone off to talk with some girl, wouldn't he have his phone? Separate conversation. If it was in the if the phone was in the family's possession or in Ben Crump's possession for this period of time, does the evidence have to be excluded? Is it not contaminated in some way?
It doesn't, and that's just what we were just talking about. So I mean, some things are concrete, like that electronic data information of innocent or received, or if it was deleted. If, say, for example, the family got it and someone's saying, the evidence is bad because the family could have added that, there's going to be an electronic footprint of when that text was sent. So if it wasn't sent before the death, then obviously it wouldn't be included in any investigation involving the death. That's a little different when you talk about how high stakes those electronic data is, and how actually it shows you how beneficial it is to have that, because that's concrete.
Look, the family needs answers. That's the bottom line. I know they're planning an independent autopsy. I know we're still waiting for the official autopsy from the state. So let's see what happens next. Dante Knowles, good to see you, my friend. Thank you.
Always. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.
Real life. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Let's keep going. I wanted y'all to start seeing and understanding how lawyers is really viewing this and the rules that's been broken, and then these terms that they use. Electronic data.
I want to make sure y'all see the picture up and close. We start the video. I just have to make sure y'all see the picture. For those that are spiritual, already know what she about to say. For those that are spiritual, already know what she's about to say. That Emmett Till's mom right there, y'all. Do y'all see? Do y'all see where this is about to go?
Wow.
Okay. Let's get into it. All my spiritual people get in here. All my spiritual people get in here. Listen when I tell you this. The Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. And what we're about to see right now is one of our sisters explaining. And she was growing up in Mississippi. Her hearing about the stories of Emmett Till and all the stories of the injustices that happen to our people is going to shock you to the core. I want to make sure y'all the picture up and close before we start the video. I just have to make sure y'all see the picture. For those that are spiritual already know what she about to say.
She looked just like Emmett Till.
For those that
Mom.
are spiritual already know what she's about to say.
She looked
that
like
is
that.
Emmett Till's mom right there.
She looked like Miss Christina.
Do y'all see?
She
Do
looked
y'all
just
see
like her.
where this is about to go?
Ooh,
Okay.
Hit that like button. Double
Let's
tap
get
that
into
screen.
it. All my spiritual people get in here. All my spiritual people get in here.
Get in here.
Listen when I tell you this. The Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. And what we're about to see right now is one of our sisters explain when she was growing up in Mississippi, her hearing about the stories of Emmett Till and all the stories of the injustices that happened to our people is going to shock you to the core. For those that aren't spiritual. For those that are spiritual, we're going to say, look, there's nothing new under the sun. This just history replaying itself. I want y'all to pay attention to what our sister says in this video, y'all. Make sure you get the likes up. Make sure you hype this video, because you ain't going to want to miss this one right here. Check it out.
As someone that's born and raised in Mississippi, from the Mississippi Delta to be exact, these two photos of Emmett Till's mother has been engraved in my head and all of my siblings and cousins' head since we were children. Both of my grandfathers were born in 1943, and they were in their right mind until they passed last year. They were 12 when Emmett Till was murdered. My grandfather on my mother's side attended his funeral in Chicago. My father on my dad's side stayed outside of Greenwood, but they moved to Clarksdale after Emmett Till's murder. I have lived in multiple cities in Mississippi, or either visit my cousins all over and friends and family, and I'm here to tell you that you still feel that shit here. Nolan Wells' case was never supposed to make it past Jackson, Mississippi, because the people from Mississippi, we was already hip to what was going on before it hit national news, but them folks wasn't speaking it.
Oh.
But what hurts the most, and if I see it, I know y'all can see it. Nolan Wells' mother looks very, very similar to Emmett Till's mother. Mm-hmm. And even though Emmett Till's story and Nolan Wells' story has their differences, at the root of it, the energy is still the same, as well as their tragic demise. I'm blessed enough to say that a lot of the Black history that I learned from Mississippi, I didn't have to learn from a book. I heard it from the mouths of my family members. And sadly, nothing has changed.
When you believe in the spirit and you're somebody who can feel the energy and you read people's aura, you understand that everything don't have to align exactly the same. Those are simple-minded people who say, yeah, but they don't have the same earrings or they don't have the same hairstyle. We got to ignore those people. But when you read energy and you believe in the spirit, you know exactly what this sister is talking about. There has been information regarding the coordinates and the path that the boat had took that Nolan Wells was supposed to be on.
News, we now know the exact coordinates that the boat carrying Nolan Wells took the entire day. All of this newly received information was provided by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. GPS data obtained by them shows the boat's movements the entire day. The boat carrying Nolan Wells departed a private dock in Ocean Springs on July 4th at 9:56 a.m. It then arrived at Horn Island at 11:14 a.m. The boat then left Horn Island at 4:31 p.m. and headed back to its initial departure dock. Around 5:52 p.m., the boat then traveled to Fort Bayou. Then it returned to the dock at 6 p.m. Later that same night at 7:19 p.m., the boat then Fort Bayou launched. From there, it was tracked being towed by a vehicle over land. It was headed to Biloxi, Mississippi, where the owner of the boat lives. The department's reports then end on July 5th after they were notified that local police would be taking over the lead in the investigation. To reiterate, at 9:56 a.m., the boat carrying Nolan and his friends on July 4th head towards Horn Island. At 11:14 a.m., they arrive at the island. At 4:31 p.m., they left Horn Island, heading back to the initial departure dock. At 5:52 p.m., they traveled to Fort Bayou. Then at 6:06 p.m., they were back to the dock. At 7:19 p.m., they were then back at the Fort Launch. Following that, they then traveled to Biloxi, Mississippi, where the owner of the boat was.
Man, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I heard the leaks always saying that the boat was sinking and, you know, the new GPS data that came out. They have been all over the place with their information. I really don't believe nothing that's coming out of Mississippi. And for them to wait 11 days later to come out with all of this, why are y'all taking so damn long?
Right.
Let's not forget, AI is good and well nowadays. There's so many things that can be manipulated while y'all taking time on the information.
Oh, so y'all really thought y'all would get away with deleting all the pictures and videos on Nolan's phone?
No.
No. Now they gave phone to technicians who's in there, they get all of those pictures, all those videos, and all of that evidence that these white boys were thugs, killers, murderers, homicidal maniacs, racists, and shit. Yes, that's what we about to find out. That's what's going on. That's what you gonna discover once the discovery is discovered. Those boys know exactly what the fuck happened. Those boys knew exactly what to do when they got back to land and talked to their judge or mother. Y'all need to lawyer it up right now. As a matter of fact, I need to help clean up this mess by going out here and publicly speaking on a death investigation, which, by the way, is against her whatever the thing they do when they go get their judge license or whatever. They're not supposed to speak publicly and about anything that's not on their desk, especially a death investigation. So I can't wait.
And this is what the petition was about, because she was going against the grain as far as her speaking out too soon, as far as her being biased towards family members and stuff. She's going against the system. She wasn't supposed to do that.
Nicole Howard, 3544. Nicole Howard says that GPS doesn't mean anything though, because clearly something happened. It didn't necessarily have to happen on the boat. And question, if the boat was sinking, why the F would they trust it to get on the boat and travel in it? Okay, real quick, fam. The GPS means a lot. Because now the GPS says they are bold-faced liars. Okay, let's make sure we clear right quick, Nicole. This means that they are bold-faced liars. That's what the GPS, that highlights that they're bold-faced liars, because they left it out and they never even spoke about this information. Where they went, the way they went, how many trips was made, where they went, and why. So it almost puts you in a position about saying if the body was found in the water, you don't have to do nothing but put together them being out there so many times in the water when the body was laid, and the fact that no more activity or no more of anybody was around for a certain amount of time before they actually found his body. Okay? So what I'm saying is to say, fam, the GPS is very important because it highlights everywhere they went. Period.
Hey guys.
I want to make sure y'all see the picture.
Nothing has changed.
When you believe, man, I'm not about y'all. I heard the leaked audio of the boy saying that the sinking, you know, the new GPS data that came out. They have been all over the place with their information. I really don't believe nothing that's coming out of Mississippi.
You saying that they cleared, you said, no, I agree, let me word it different. They believe it cleared them, my bad. Yeah, no, I don't know what they believe clearly.
And for them to wait 11 days later to come out with all of this, why do y'all take this so damn long? Let's not forget, AI is good and well nowadays. There's so many things that can be manipulated while y'all taking y'all damn time on the information.
Oh, so y'all really thought y'all would get away with deleting all the pictures and videos on Nolan's phone? No, now they gave the phone over to some technicians who's gonna go in there, they gonna get all of those pictures, all those videos, and all of that evidence to show us that these white boys were murderers, homicidal maniacs, racist pieces of shit. Yes, that's what we about to find out. That's what's going on. That's what you're going to discover once the discovery is discovered.
Right.
Those boys know exactly what. Those boys knew exactly what to do when they got back there and talked to their judge. Y'all need to lawyer up right now. As a matter of fact, I need to help clean up this mess by going out here and publicly speaking on an investigation, which, by the way, is against her whatever the thing they do when they go get their judge, like or whatever. They're not supposed to speak publicly about anything that's not on their desk, especially a death investigation. So I can't wait.
And this is what the petition was about, because she was going against the grain as far as her speaking out too soon, as far as her being biased towards family members and stuff. She's going against the system. She wasn't supposed to do that. So what we're about to listen to is the audio of Nolan Wells' fake friends calling and saying that their boat was sinking. Now, so me personally, I don't believe it. Y'all took way too long to come out with this damn audio. Knowing that we want to answer around the 4th or the 5th. Why you wait all the way to now to give us this little snippet and AI is out there? I'm not.
See what I'm saying? They trying to put something with every narrative that they put out. Why would y'all release a snippet? That little snippet gonna verify that y'all have made a call because the boat broke down? Okay, cool. Who cares? Does that matter that the boat broke down and y'all got a snippet of you calling somebody about it? That don't matter. Speak for the phone deleting. Speak for the fact that y'all done went 20 places and ain't told nobody nothing about none of it. Speak for the fact about Wyatt lied about having his keys. And had to tell him, yeah, Wyatt has it in his room. And that man was just in his room playing the game, and he acting like he don't know where this man's keys is. So he lied off the rip about where his keys, where his phone, all of that. Okay? Let's talk about those things. Coming out with an audio of a 5-second audio that's saying something about you calling the tow truck people, the tow boat people, because your boat broke down, don't matter. Okay, cool. You verified that the boat broke down. What that mean? That don't take nothing away from 10 trips in and out from island to here to back to the island to back over here to over there to back to the over. It don't explain none of that. So that's why I'm like, shut up, man. That shit just sounds stupid. It almost make you frustrated because y'all playing games, releasing little stuff like that, and y'all so privileged to think that it's a game. That's how you know y'all playing games. And then people speaking up and laughing at the certain stuff they saying. Ain't what none of y'all Nolan friends. Laughing at this man's death, laughing about the storylines. Y'all ain't, I don't believe none of them was his friend. At all. Because friends don't treat people like that or act like that. So ain't no way. Ain't no way.
Y'all, I'm not buying it, but check it out.
Tonight, new audio shedding light on the moments before some of Nolan Wells left Horn Island off the coast of Mississippi. A mom of one of the friends last week said the group left without Nolan when their boat began malfunctioning.
We're thinking, can y'all please come?
NBC News has obtained audio as part of a records request that details the group calling for towing assistance.
And is everybody on board in good health otherwise? Yeah, everybody's on board.
Nolan went to the island.
What the hell is that? That little snip, that was like 2 seconds. Anybody can recreate that in a matter of 11 days?
In 11 days, y'all created this lady saying, Is everybody on board in good health? And you say yeah.
Audio of Nolan Wells' fake friends calling and saying that their boat was sinking. Now it's a little snippet. Me personally, I don't believe it. Y'all took way too long to come out with this damn audio. Knowing that we wanted answers around the 4th or the 5th. Why you wait all the way to now to give us this little snippet? And AI is out there?
Right.
I'm not buying it, Joe. I'm not buying it, but check it out.
Tonight, new audio shedding light on the moments before some of Nolan Wells' friends left Horn Island off the coast of Mississippi. A mom of one of the friends last week said left without Nolan when their boat began malfunctioning.
We're thinking, can y'all please come?
NBC News has obtained audio as part of a records request that details the group calling for towing assistance.
Hey, is everybody on board and good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's off the way.
Nolan went to the
What the hell is that? That little snippet, that was like 2 seconds. Anybody can recreate that in a matter of 11 days. We needed that information last year. What are you talking about?
And see, that's the thing too. That's why y'all trying to use this little snippet to say that the lady asked, was everybody on board in good health? And he said, yeah. So you trying to make it seem like Nolan was there, everybody was there, and everybody was in good health. It don't matter, stupid ass, because even if she said everybody's in good health, at some point between 10 trips that y'all done took on this island, then made Wyatt tired. Think about it, man. Y'all dumb. Telling on yourself, we know we putting the whole thing together. Thank God for YouTube creators. Because back then, we would have towed that Emmett Till situation up. Talking about what happened and didn't happen, we wouldn't have known nothing. You are lie. Let me tell you something here, man. Ain't no way. Y'all gonna release an audio of them saying this as if this is gonna protect you. No, it's not. Wyatt was tired. You remember when the daddy of Nolan said, when they got the call about the situation, he had to get up and go over there to Wyatt's house to get his phone. He said when he got there, he got in there, and he asking them about the phone and his keys and what's up. He said Wyatt comes out and says he don't know where any of his stuff is. Okay? So this is the first lie. Wyatt come out like he don't know where nothing is. So they end up talking to some girl. The girl like, stop lying, Wyatt. His keys and his phone is in your room on your game. This, mind you, this man just came out of his room. Tired like he just been up all night. And all of these people are at their house partying. So now you got to make it look like y'all ain't never left at all. But if that's the case, why do you have his phone, his keys, and his car? Make that make sense, fam. And then I gotta ask you for it. You hesitate, and it take you 20 minutes to get it, and it's right there in the room. That's under 5 minutes for you to go get that phone, them keys, and bring it to me. You go get the stuff, and it takes you almost 20 minutes to return. Clearly, you're tampering with something, sir. That is my total belief. Hit that like button, double tap that screen, man. We done got really down to it. It's really like that. It's really like that, and it's ridiculous.
Friends, on July 4th, his body was found 2 days later. It's unclear whether Nolan was with anyone when he disappeared. This as the search for answers in the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells continues. His family's attorney is saying they'll now work side by side with investigators to analyze Nolan's cell phone.
So everybody will be able to see at the same time what the cell phone has.
Nolan's parents previously said they believe content may have been deleted from the phone. The case will be presented to a Mississippi grand jury once the investigation is complete. The local district attorney telling NBC News that's a standard practice for cases with an unknown cause of death and not an indication that a crime was committed. Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter says his team has interviewed several witnesses and is working to get answers for the family. Do you feel like you're getting useful information that's been helpful to fit?
Yes, sir. We're getting very useful information, and we appreciate the public coming forward with what they've had, and we don't want them to be hesitant.
Today, the family met with the district attorney for more than an hour.
It was just a meeting where she talked about the process. She didn't tell us any information about the investigation. We're trying to get to those answers.
As tonight, Nolan's family prepares to hold his funeral next week.
He would not want us to be sitting around crying and eating, and so what we're gonna do is kind of have a party to celebrate him.
Tom, the state had independent autopsy report.
She tried her best to keep it together. You can see it because it's people out there saying, oh, why she's not crying with tears coming down her eyes enough. She probably do that in privacy.
And I gotta tell you something too, man, because I owe her an apology because I went in on her yesterday. And then I had seen her make a post today. And I'm gonna play that post for you to really see her, because she really was explaining her feelings, the weight of this, you know, when she's uppity and when she's around everyone, and then when she's by herself and how she has to break down. And I really owe her an apology, man, because I really said some things about her not really showing us that she really grieved in this situation. And everyone grieves differently, but I spoke about how in the eyes of everyone else, you have to be strong. And understanding that the way that she has to handle things is different than we all do. We all handle them differently. But I spoke about something about I would have to be drinking, or even if she's drinking, to where she has to numb herself to be able to take on these things, because she's constantly reminded that her son is unalive and that they don't know what happened. So I just want to say I'm sorry here at No Filter Deala T to you know Miss Christina, you know, for my misperception of how you are handling your son's passing. Because again, at the end of the day, she really explained on her post and on her live, you know, thanking people, but really explaining what this is doing to her. And you can see genuinely in those moments, her cries, her tears, you can see that it's just taking her every which way, you know. We're gonna continue to support justice for Nolan Wells, to know what happened, and for those that did what they did to him, to see the full length of law, to see the full length, to the deepest length of the justice system, to the fullest extent. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that should be the case to the fullest extent, man. And that's real. This other one I'm gonna play that I want y'all to understand, and I'm gonna get out your way because this gentleman really explains. Well, this is basically a ex-FBI agent. He used to work for the FBI. And he's explaining things that should have been done, that wasn't did, things that they did that should have been done a different way, things that we know they haven't done because they chose not to, and the reason why. Okay?
Without his friends. Nolan's body was I want to share with you guys my conversation with retired FBI agent.
A retired FBI agent.
It's nice to see you. Thank you very much.
He's telling you how it should be done.
I've been looking into this Nolan Wells story all day, really. It's a really sad story. I mean, it seemed like this kid just had such a bright future, and everybody seemed to have amazing things to say about him. First, you know, Ben Crump, the family attorney, said that there's going to be sort of this dual investigation with the phone, that they're going to have the, you know, official looking into the police, but then also they have experts that the family's hiring that's going to be looking at the phone. I guess at the same time, have you ever heard of this happening this way?
It's, look, it's an unusual track to see happening in real time like this. It's certainly not common. I think it speaks to why there is a need for law enforcement to immediately seize digital devices, image those, and start that examination immediately.
Hey guys, I've been on the road so much lately. I've been distracted by so many stories, and there are certain things I just don't have the time to deal with, and identity theft is definitely one of those things. It's the worst. It happened to my dad. It took forever for him to sort it out. And the truth is, we're all at risk. I've been alerted by several banks I've used that there was a data breach, that my data is out there, and I just feel better being protected by Incogni. The criminals can get your personal information for scams, for stalking, harassment, all sorts of other illegal activities. And Incogni comes in. It is a personal data removal service, and it is so easy. It took me 1 minute, and look at this. This is my dashboard. I'm always checking it. It already shows hundreds of data brokers that I contacted to make sure that my data is not public. I check it every week. Fine. There's more that pop up. I get a new custom removal feature on the unlimited and unlimited family plans. If you see a website with your personal info, you put it into Incogni's custom removal feature and the rest for you. So to check it all out, go to Incogni and use code Brian Enton for 60% off. Incogni helps wipe yourself from the internet. They can't harm you if they can't find you. Click the link below to claim your 60% off and get your personal data off the market.
In court, there won't be any question as to the integrity of the information or the data that is.
It seems the mom or the parents have had the phone. Is that unusual to you? Because I guess with most of the cases I've covered, the phone.
Look, I'll put it this way. These were clearly desperate parents just trying to find their son. I can't put it past them. I'm a dad of teenage boys. Even though I'm former FBI, I can't blame them for that. But admittedly, first by law enforcement immediately. However, given the circumstances by which they had to go find the phone, then again, it's hard for me to take major umbrage with it, given that they're desperate parents and they. But ideally, in normal cases, yeah, you want law enforcement to seize that phone first, start a chain of custody, image that phone so that the integrity of the questionable.
When law enforcement gets a phone in a situation like this, and we don't know if it's an iPhone, but what do they do? What kind of information can they pull off with it?
So I think I've seen a lot of reports that the Snapchat account was deleted, which would have been unusual for this young man. Look, deleted is never deleted. And for law enforcement, and particularly now with the FBI's involvement and their digital forensics capabilities, and admittedly, I don't know what Jackson County's digital forensics capabilities are. I do know what the FBI's are. So that aspect of being never truly deleted. So you have several layers of recoverable data that exists. So you have on servers, data from the servers. You have metadata. And both of those can be gained from preservation letters and subpoenas. On top of that, you have geolocation data from both the handsets and maps according to the snap. Again, if you know how chat works, and unfortunately, my kids use Snapchat too. So you have that map aspect of it. Then again, another big piece, and I've seen 60 data for that hand. There's going to be that information. So when we think about the amount of information that they can gain from this phone, it's tremendous. But I'll emphasize this. While that phone is the centerpiece of the digital, it's called the digital, what they're going to be looking for, it doesn't end with just that handset. I believe we've already seen the Jackson County come out and try to crowdsource information and say, I believe it's we want phones or photos, any video, nothing. Make sure we know because then cell towers for the geolocation data for the cell towers themselves, and every single device, as well as every single person that was on that island that day, then becomes a potential witness or a potential evidentiary lead.
Right.
How did the other people with cell phones, could they help determine his location and through the towers? Is that what you're saying?
No, so the towers are going to put who was ever on that island at that time, geolocation data for any of the handsets that were on there. And then you are going to have time and space proximity of certain handsets. So by way of example, if you and I are on the island and you go off, yet I tell the authorities, no, you and I were there together the entire time, but your handset was gone, it left. Okay, then that opens up a line of inquiry, right? Really an investigative lead. I think that given the circumstances, have a time that's a lot, right? You have this group of friends that's there with him. They departed. That he was going to stay behind to, I believe, talk with some girl. The girl then comes out and says, no, we talked, but then he was leaving to go catch up with his friends. Then somebody else shifts the timeline as to when those friends left.
Right.
And then we have the handset itself. The Life 360 data shows that the handset's back apparently on the mainland.
That's right.
From what I saw in open source reporting, while they're claiming, no, he's still on the island. So there's a lot of inconsistencies. Each one of those, that timeline doesn't close. It actually breaks up contradictions, and each one to an investigative pursuit that can be followed.
And they, with Snapchat, and they don't, the snaps don't stick around forever. Does the FBI have a way to go back and get old Snapchats?
Snapchat server-side data that they can go back. They can serve preservation letters on Snapchat. They can follow it up with grand jury subpoenas if need be. I'm not familiar directly with their protocol and their policies for data retention, but no doubt the FBI's already issued out probably tons of preservation letters so that whatever is on server-side data they can get from Snapchat or other accounts that are interacting with Snapchat on the device that overlap. So there is still a lot of potential for that.
Does it stand up to you as odd that his phone was back on the boat without him? Because in one way I'm thinking like what, teenager leaves their phone, that's kind of unusual. But then some of the friends said, oh, everybody leaves the phone in the boat because, you don't want it to get wet, which I've been on boats and that also seems like it could be true.
I can speculate all day long as to what kids are doing with their phones and the boat thing. I don't know. But what we do know is there's some contradictory statements as to that timeline and then the phone itself. The fact that the parents had to go get the phone, it wasn't given up willingly as to what I've seen in open source reporting. That's a little troubling, that it was not immediately given up willingly. So you have that.
You see what he just said? Troubling how they didn't want to give up the phone, that it got him a warrant for his arrest right there. There's so many trouble, and it's an ex-FBI agent. He gonna tell it like it is. They want to create a road of integrity, even with a digital data. Yeah, man. Cause they got to know. We need to know. Hit that like button, double tap that screen, fam. It's the reason why we got to know. Right. And because it's that and the way they're going about things, this is truly theft. It's so many titles for everything that's been done that's not right. I'm going to take my time one day and write them down. Write them all down. Because at the end of the day, it ain't what you do, it's how you do it. As always, fam, you know what it is and what it ain't. You know what the level is Monday through Friday with your boy Deala T, each and every Monday through Friday with your boy Deala T. Man, I truly appreciate and thank each and every one of you all for pulling up. Making sure that when you come in, you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode and share this with the world. And of course, family, when you come in, make sure you get comfortable. Truly get you something to eat. Get you something to drink. Get you something to smoke if that's what you do. Cause you know the title, fam. Haha. You in here with your boy Deala T, my fam. And this is No Filters. Good night, family. Y'all be safe. Lock your doors. Good night, family. God bless y'all.